Hi everyone, welcome. Thanks for joining us for this Yeovil Mini Creatives making session with artist Clarissa Reddy. Thanks for joining me.
Hello, hi everyone. Thank you
Cool.
for asking me.
This is a real treat because this is where in the videos where we ask the artists to share a little bit of their making skills about the project that they put together, that you're going to be able to find in the booklet that has been made by Yeovil Art Space in partnership with the Huddle in Yeovil. And we have made this book, haven't we, Clarissa, because we kind of were aware that school and colleges had quite a lot out there, but the preschoolers they had all their creative play kind of closed down as well in isolation. So we thought we'd kind of put this booklet together with 4 artists who are also mums. So and we just thought we'd make these videos as a way of supporting you so you can see where their wonderful ideas came from, and if you're a little bit underconfident in your creativity, then the artists are going to help you. That's what Clarissa's going to do for us now. So over to you, Clarissa.
Over to me. Well, hello, thank you everyone for joining us. I'm going to introduce an artist to you who gave me the idea for this project, and he's called Matisse, and he's a French artist. And I'm going to just share my screen so that you can see his work. So if I can just explain to you, Matisse was one of the prominent artists in the last century, the 20th century, and he was a prolific painter, which meant he did a lot of work. But towards the end of his life, he suffered very badly with stomach cancer. He had a big operation, which left him fairly immobile and in a wheelchair. And he developed this new form of art called collage, which was where he used cutouts. So he had an assistant to paint his papers, and they would pin them up for him, and he created a lot of work based on this idea. So I'm showing you a picture here, which is coming from a collection based on acrobats at the circus. And the idea is that you can see the acrobat jumping, so the squiggly line is here, potentially the view below, so it could be a tiled floor, or it could be the spectators, and it's just very, very abstract and loose. So I thought this would be a good idea for using as inspiration for my project. And what I've done is done something which we're going to base on cooking, because I love creating with my daughter 2 sorts of things. I love getting kind of arty and creative, messy play type stuff, and I love cooking with her. And from a young age, I used to try and get her to do things with me in the kitchen. So I'm just gonna turn my computer a little bit and try and pop it down. Sorry, I've got a sketch pad in the way here. See if I can. Oh, excuse me 1 second. While I arrange my computer, and I'm hoping that you can see. There we go. Oh, that's probably as far down as it goes. I may have to show you a little bit more. I'm going to get you started with doing some practical work. So what I thought we could do is start by just asking and sharing with young people what tools we use in the kitchen, so they know simple spoons and things that they eat with, but things like paint, the oil brush, the lemon squeezer, spaghetti things. And what we're going to do is just ask them to do a few things. They could make marks literally with them, or they could start to draw around them. And to do this, I've just got a felt pen. So for this workshop, you don't need too many materials. You might have to, for example, steady the utensil as they draw around. I mean, this is very good for their kind of dexterity and practice. And I remember my daughter coming home and bringing various sort of handprints and things that she'd drawn around. So it's just taking that idea a little bit further. And I suppose I've just chosen things with, fairly simple shapes, but also things a little bit more unusual, just to kind of start a conversation about cooking. And you may find that they might want to have a go at using it afterwards. Okay, so just drawn around a couple of got on my fingers a couple of items. So I've ended up with this type of thing. So we're going to come back to this a bit later, because I think it'd be really nice to kind of work into these. So that's one activity I thought you could have a go at doing. Okay, just put it that way. I also thought my daughter, since being very young, has been very IT literate, and I thought, why not have a go at create some design work with them too? So I thought it might be quite a nice idea just to create some patterns with them, and then pass your phone to them and take some photographs, and immediately they can kind of get a sense of sort of placing the objects. You could even, if you wanted to, talk about sort of how they are, you know, when we lay the table, it could be a way of encouraging them or bringing that kind of aspect in. Okay, so that's a couple of things just to kind of start the ball rolling. Okay, and then I'm going to get you to move on to something practical. So because I love the collage element, I would like you to make a range of papers. So I'm going to show you some examples. Kids love making marks. So I've just got some white paper and various tools to draw with. So if I show you those, I've got a big kind of painter's brush from decorating. I've got another kind of fairly old brush, and I quite like it's dried out of it, because I quite like making marks with anything. So I think what you need to do is just have a look at stuff you've got around your house and not be frightened of just seeing what happens when they make a mark. So I've got a tube, I've got a pile of old threads, I've got some packaging material, which I always think is quite, we usually just put in the bin, all of us, but actually they make quite nice marks. And I've got things like bubble wrap. So to make our papers and have a go having some fun with that, if you can use just some basic poster paint, that's the word I'm looking for, poster paint, and just get yourself a container and some water. And then I would just encourage young people and yourselves, because you might want to have a go at this yourself, just to make some marks in the first instance. So I'm getting my brush, and I'm just going to have a go and making some marks. And when I do this kind of activity, because I love creating papers, I try to do things that kind of I like or please me, and if they don't, I might keep them, let them dry, and then do something else on the top of them. So I won't always abandon something if it doesn't work straight away. I noticed, for example, with this one, I must have not washed the brush properly, but there's a little bit of dark ink on the bottom, and I'm like, oh, I quite like that. That happened by accident. That wasn't planned. So okay, that's just making kind of marks, and the kids being kids, they might kind of bash them around a little bit. They might, you know, just kind of brush their paper, the paintbrush over it. So the idea is you're just going to just see what papers you can create. You can do secondary colours on the top of these. So with some of mine, so let's just have a look at. So this black one. To do that, I've just used my long piece here. I'm going to do it in red this time, and I've just painted over the top. And I literally kind of went, oh, I wonder what happens if I do that. And I thought, well, let's give it a go then. Let's see what happens. And I've got my paper and literally just pressed it down. Okay, and then what I've done is gone, oh, I wonder how long I can print this for before it runs out. And until you kind of created a base layer. And effectively what I've done is done that here, and I'm just going to then, because it's dry now, I'm going to put another colour on the top. So I'm going to keep layering, which is quite nice just to have a go. So I'll just quickly do that. Okay, so I'm going to go across on this one just to see. And it just starts to kind of lift it and make it a little bit more interesting. And what we'll do with these is come back to them a bit later. I'm not sure if these particular ones will be dry. I hope they will be, but they may not be dry for us to use. So, okay, that's with paint. You can also use other things. So I've got out some, I thought what children might have is blackboards, you know, things like that. So I've got some pastels because I thought that might be quite nice to try. and some charcoal, and even just things like pencils. So with my charcoal, I love the length of charcoal. So I just kind of make some marks and just see what it does. Sometimes you can just try and get some wiggly lines going. And in terms of Matisse's kind of structures that he used, he had a pair of scissors, so he couldn't get much detail. And so I think he's quite a good source of inspiration for this workshop, because we don't necessarily need to have a lot of detail in our work. And I'm picking up now because I really, really like that squiggle. Don't know why, it just appealed to me. And so I'm just going to add some more paint on the top. And just sort of let it grow as it happens. So I also mentioned that we've got these pastels. So you can also try a similar thing with that. So I'm just going to try some lines, and I might take some going across. With pastels, of course, and chalks, they will smudge onto your hand. And so mums, dads, you may need to fix them with a bit of hairspray. And that means that they can then be used. Okay, so you have permission to have lots of fun creating your papers, and you know, it'd be really great to see some of those textures you know, on Yeovil Creative's kind of Facebook or website. So, you know, please do upload those for us. Oh, I didn't show you, but this is really cool, and this is just kind of string, and this is loads of fun. I'm sure that kids will enjoy this. Is literally just getting a, if you knit or you are a crocheter, I think it is, you know, just getting a load of old offcuts of your threads, and just trying to just kind of using them like a stamping tool, and I've just literally put it in my paint all the way through. You can create a similar effect with something like your bubble wrap as well. So the idea is we're just creating loads of different textures and colours, which when dry we're going to cut up. Okay, so that's this part here, which is just kind of creating these lovely papers. So we've now got some examples of our drawing round tools. We've now got some examples of lovely papers, and we're now thinking, what do we do with these? Where are we going to go with them? So what I thought we could do, just to take it a little bit further forward, is to and mums and dads may need to help us a little bit, is to cut out some of these shapes. You can also work directly onto them, but I thought as another activity, it might be worth just making some of those marks into some of those shapes. So if I, for example, go back to, we were just using pastels. If I go back to using my pastels, and I'm going to just make some marks into my sieve. My sieves, of course, are great because they are straining food. So, you know, the kind of thing I'll be doing is talking to my daughter at the same time and suggesting that this is what we're doing. They might have a go at, looks a bit rough and ready, I do apologise on that one, but might have a go at suggesting the sieve marks. It may be that we start to do a little bit of painting into it, just to start to create the sieve kind of like. I'm trying to think about the approach of a young person as well, because I know that, you know, when my daughter was younger, she, you know, they weren't as constrained as we are. She would quite often, you know, go outside the marks and just really, really explore kind of line and mark making and that kind of thing. So yeah, I was sort of suggesting some cutting out as well. So because mine are quite fine, I've just lost my scissors here. I'm just going to cut these out, not right to the edge, just around the outside edge. My daughter still loves cutting out today. She's 10, and I think for as long as I can remember, she liked cutting just little things, and I am aware that their dexterity isn't maybe as mature as, you know, they go up into junior school, but they might want to have a go at just making a few you know, well, they might just want to have a go at it just to see, you know, cutting round it. It may not be as smooth as we would like it to be, but I think it encourages them to just have a go at it. Okay, so we've got now our shapes which are drawn around. We've got our work which is developing. We've got our shapes which we can then also work into. So I'm just going to do a bit of a little bit of mark making here. Let's just see if I can make this a little bit more interesting. When you're doing a demonstration, of course, it always tends to be a bit more challenging because you're on the spot with your working. So this is, the marks on those are coming out quite nice on the stem. I don't know if you can see that. I quite like that. I'm not so keen on the top bit, so I'm going to have a little go about putting a different colour on the top bits. This probably would work better if it was dry, and then I came back and put a second layer of paint on. But because we haven't got too much time, I'm just going to, that's going to work, okay? So we've got that. Okay, so that's working out a little bit better. And then what I'm going to suggest to you is maybe starting to work onto this image that we are starting to create and our collage, and just start to lay our tools, if you like, on the top. You could go back to your original papers as well that you created when they're dry and just cut around some of the shapes. Okay, so I'm just going to do that. I quite like the fact that they are quite simple, and it kind of frees us up, like Matisse, you know, because he kept it quite simple, to not worry about what we're doing. So I've just taken apart my spatula here. I have to keep bending down, sorry, because my computer isn't very good. For some reason I can get it to bend down as much low as I wanted to and can't go as high as I want to. So you can see the paper, and I'm just that's the same one. Actually, I won't do that one, let's choose a different one. Yeah, I've got quite a good one here. This one's just using splodges, so I'm just going to cut my handle out of that and just sort of start to collage them together. Nearly there. All these things, of course, that we're doing make a really nice memory of experiences that we share together. So I don't know if I can hold this. I'm going to glue this down because it'll be easier to hold up for you. So I don't know if that will stay. Let me just see if I can put a bit of glue in the end of that. Put that one over there now. Let's just stick that down a bit more. Probably should have said, but I didn't say that. Just make sure you've covered your table and in newspaper, and just protected your surfaces. Okay, so I'm starting to kind of develop my design a little bit here. It's not quite there yet. Some bits are working okay, some bits aren't. They need a bit more development, but it kind of gives us a nice memory, I think, and something I take a photograph of. And, you know, if you start to keep a record of things, you can sort of put them together into like a really nice keepsake book, which I think is a really nice thing to do. Do you, Natasha?
I do. That's exactly what it's all about, isn't it? Because it's such a simple activity that if your child's really good with scissors, you can go to that stage of design. But like you said right at the beginning, even just placing the kitchen objects down and taking a photograph of where they put things is really good, and counting their objects. And I love the idea of laying the table. My 8 and
I
10-year-old could do with a little lesson in that now. So should have had done this activity when they were little. They might have done that a bit more. But yeah, like I said, it's the mark making is an amazing development, learning and development stage, which can be fun like this. And I love the idea of maybe able to link it with healthy eating and what's going on in the kitchen at the same time as doing your art and creativity. Yeah, it's really good.
Cooking and weighing stuff, my daughter even now, she likes breaking the eggs or helping measure stuff or stirring. I mean, she was never particularly brilliant at it, but she did it. She loved all the kind of getting your hands dirty, and I think it's all essential part of them kind of learning about the textures of food and the smells as you're cooking, and just that sort of bonding. I think of, we live in a world where everything is just so fast and quick, and just to take a bit of time as a family, or as your mum or a dad with your child, and do something together, it just is such a nice memory and just creates so many nice experiences for them to look back on.
Well, like you said, the art and the food can be so easily linked together, because there's that discussion about the colours and like of the food that you might then want to use in your mark making, or you even when you do the stirring, it's kind of a mark making stirring on the paper, isn't it? So there's so many different ways that you can do this activity, just in probably things that people are already doing when they're trying to help their children cook in the kitchen. So yeah, it's lovely. And in the booklet, obviously you and the other 3 artists have been fantastic, and you photographed you doing this all for us and listed how to do this activity, so they'll be able to find all the help they need from the booklet, and then take their photographs and put it into the memory book that we've created. So yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you very much. So just for the audience, you can find the booklet on Yeovil Art Space's website, www.yeovilartspace.uk, and on all our social media pages, Facebook and Instagram. There will be versions of the booklet available at the Huddle in Yeovil, and we are making sure that the free copies get around to all the preschools, and anywhere that parents might be able to get their hands on them, to be able to be creative and help their children learn and develop through art and design, which we are biased, but we love, don't we, Clarissa?
Absolutely.
Absolutely brilliant. So thank you very much for sharing with us.
Thank you for asking me. Have fun. Good luck, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.